Science, a Cosmic Perspective. All right, and today we have with us Mr. Dhanush Ram Vignesh, who will be taking you through the session. And I must say, the session is going to be very enlightening, informative, and insightful, because there's one thing that stands true for all the sessions that Dhanush takes. That is, it is interactive, it is informative, and it is very insightful. But before we go on to welcome Mr. Dhanush online, I would request our National Marketing Manager, Mr. Rajiv Sharma, to please come in and extend a welcome note to all the teachers who are joining us today. So I would request Rajiv, sir, to please come in.
Thank you, Samriddhi. And thank you, educators, for joining us for today's webinar on Science, a Cosmic Perspective. You know, in this pandemic situation when the entire Earth is actually reeling under one virus, you know, the only thing that you can do is look beyond Earth and go cosmic. And that's what we are going to do today. Science has always been something which, and this cosmic thing, which is the universe that we live in, is one of the things which has actually fascinated the human beings from day one. You know, we have, I still remember when Galileo said something and people were just not ready to believe on them that the Earth actually is a round shape. So from there till today, we have actually gone miles and miles ahead and gone much beyond with some of the brightest telescopes that we have across the world and definitely in space also. Our reach in the cosmic perspective or the universe has gone much beyond. Thank you, educators. I now hand it over to Mr. Dhanush. I think it's going to be a very interesting session for today. Over to Dhanush. Thank you, educators.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much for such a heartening welcome note. But before Dhanush steps in, just a couple of instructions for all the participants and teachers who've joined us. Dear teachers, we have nearly 500 participants for this session. Hence, this is a webinar mode. So therefore, you would only be able to see the active speaker and listen to them. So this will be on a watch mode and listen mode. In case you have any questions during the session, we would request you to please use the chat box to send in your question, and Mr. Dhanush will incorporate the questions as he goes along. We will not be able to see the raised hands or anything because the number is huge. In case any one of you happens to log out because of poor internet bandwidth, we would request you to join us on Facebook, where this session is going live, absolutely with no internet hassle being coming into place. So here is Mr. Dhanush Ram Vignesh, who is currently working as a trainer and resource person and motivational speaker with Ratna Sagar. He is an engineering graduate with a diploma in visual media traveling with the field of education for more than a decade. He has trained nearly 5,000 plus college students on skill development and supported education industry and curriculum designing as a teacher training and learning outcome. As a teacher trainer, he had trained more than 300 schools to incorporate better teaching and learning outcomes. He contributed his creative technical skills to teachers in the region of Andhra Pradesh, Telangana, Karnataka, Delhi, Punjab on training and teaching methodology, classroom management, child psychology, values, general knowledge, life skills, science, scientific temper, and many more, to just name a few. So here we have Mr. Dhanush Ram Vignesh, heartily welcoming him for this session, Science, a Cosmic Perspective. So over to you, Dhanush, now. Please go ahead.
Thank you, Samriddhi. Thank you so much. Thank you, Rajiv, sir. Before starting the session, a very warm welcome to all the wonderful teachers, educators, dear children who are watching it live, and to all the people who are watching it live. A very warm welcome to one and all. So I've just shared a screen right now, so I think that the screen is visible also. Okay, so let us start the session, teachers. As Samriddhi said, before starting the session, a small thing. I'll always keep my chat box open. So teachers, I just want this session, this webinar to be an interactive webinar. So whatever questions you have, anything you want to put forward, any answer you want to put forward, kindly feel free to put forward in the chat box. So I'll be always looking at the chat box also. So whatever queries you have, anything you want to tell, please use the chat box, my dear teachers. We'll have a very good session. Great. So hello to everybody and hi to everybody. So let us start the webinar. So teachers, the topic of the webinar is Science, a Cosmic Perspective. Great. So what do we mean by cosmic perspective is, see, science is all around us. It's all around this planet. It's all around in all the things around this planet. Yeah, so starting from space to outer space to all the things that is present inside the entire universe, we have science in it. Yeah, so here we are to discuss regarding the science behind all things present in the universe. So we are going to take science to an upper level. So I think teachers who are all present here, we all talk about space, we all talk about science behind the space, and we try to inculcate that thought process within the children. So this webinars entire aim is that we wanted to instigate that thought process of the child, that temper of the child, thinking about the sky. Okay, so I think in your classrooms, my dear teachers, I think if there are 40 children in your classroom, at least 5 to 10 children might say that, I want to become an astronaut, I want to go to space. So we want to tap that, we wanted to enrich that, nourish that, and we wanted to bring the children up and go to places where we have never dreamt of. So that is the entire idea of this webinar, teachers. So whatever questions you have, any doubts you have, you can please put forward. And at the end of the session, I'm just sure that we will have a wonderful cosmic perspective in our mind. Yeah, so that is the aim of the session. Great. So when we were talking about cosmic perspective, my dear teachers, we all know that humans are wonderful explorers, right? So we started from caves and we came out of that, and look at where we are. Yeah, so we are in a technologically advanced society and a fast driven society where things are pretty much easy even when compared to 5-10 years back. Okay, so we are explorers, we are still exploring, and our future is going to be so bright. So teachers, when we talk about this cosmic perspective, yeah, so we are going to look at many things. We are going to look at the past, we are going to look at the present, and we're going to go right into the future. Everything about space, everything about wonders of space, everything about the beauty of science that lies out there. Yeah, so we are going to unveil the entire universe part by part. Okay, and we are going to discuss it. Great. So teachers, just sit back, enjoy, relax, and we'll have a wonderful session. Great, teachers. Wonderful. So before we start the session, I would always like to start the session with a question. Uh, because teachers, I think being educators, you also believe in that same thing. More than answering, questioning is very important, right? Yeah, you can put your answers in the chat box. Yeah. So more than answering, questioning is very, very important, right? Because when we tell an answer, the search for answers will stop at one point. Yeah, but when we ask a question, there will be a lot of answers to it, lot of opinions in it, lot of discussions in it. So more than answering, questioning is very, very important. And it's not only in education, in every field, questioning is very important. So let's start the session, let's start this webinar with a question. I think this question really will take us into the topic. Okay, my question is, um, what theories about the cosmos really boggle your mind? When you look up the sky and when you think about stars, when you think about other planets, when you think about life on other planets, or when you think about the vastness of the universe. So, such kind of theories or fact, like what does it really boggle your mind? You feel that, oh my God, is that so? Is that right? So it is really crazy. So what kind of thoughts really boggles your mind? One of the teachers are wonderfully told that the size. Yeah, so the size of the universe really boggles me. It really blows my mind always. Yeah, exactly, ma'am. Like, yeah, the Big Bang theory. Okay, that's wonderful. Great. The size, infinite space, black hole, Big Bang. Great, great. That's wonderful answers. Thank you so much, teachers. Galaxy. Yeah, another solar system with Earth in it. Wow, that's great. So life on another planet really boggles your mind. That theory boggles your mind. Okay, great. Because the universe is infinite and there are many things in the universe that we cannot reach to. That really boggles your mind. That's wonderful. The expanding of the universe, nebula, the Big Bang theory. Great, great. That's wonderful. Many teachers have given about black holes, the vastness of the universe, the infinite space within the universe, and even aliens. Yeah. So the expansion of the universe, our galaxy, that is the Milky Way galaxy. Yeah. The wormholes, black matter, dark matter. Yeah, that is really, really great. Exploring is never ending. Exactly right. Yeah. So wonderful answers, my dear teachers. Wonderful thought process, my dear teachers. Thank you so much. See, we are going to discuss one by one in this class, in this session. We are going to talk about Big Bang. We are going to talk about black holes. We are going to talk about life on other planets. And we are going to talk about the vastness of the universe and our part in it, where we are, what is our perspective in it. Yeah, and we are going to look at all exoplanets, that is planets that are similar to Earth. Okay, so this session is going to be entirely about that. So let us go into space, let us just explore our mind in there, and let's have an interactive session too. Yes, teachers. So just keep your chat box ready, and whatever questions you have, even if you have any questions, just put forward those questions. Okay, so that I'll just note it down, and in the course of time, I'll just explain those questions too. Yeah, great, wonderful. So there are many theories that really boggle our mind, starting from the Big Bang till where we are going to go once our Earth has lost its energy. Yeah, so yeah, more uses of sunlight we can make, exactly. So that is the thing. Yeah, so uh, all these things really boggle our mind, and we should have a lot of thought into it, because it is really really essential also. It may be not be essential now, but many centuries later or millions of centuries later, it will be essential. Okay, great. So fine. Now with this, okay, so since we all thought that there are many thought process that really boggles our mind, it blows our mind, we should understand one fact, that the universe is under no obligation to make sense to you. Okay, so it was said by Dr. Neil deGrasse Tyson. I think many teachers, physicists, physics teachers might know him always. Like I think many teachers might know him. So the universe has no obligation to make sense to us, because see, universe is so vast. It is so vast that we are just mere a speck of dust in it. Okay, so it is under no obligation to make sense to us. But what we are going to do, we are going to use science, we are going to use facts, we are going to use facts and figures, we are going to use numbers to understand, at least to make sense of at least few things present in the universe. Yeah, fine. So first, we are going to look at three things, my dear teachers. The agenda is going to be about three things. First is, we are going to start the universe from the past. Through the present, we are going to see what we are doing right now, what we are up to, what scientists are up to, and into the future. Okay, into the future is life on other planets, and everything. What questions you have asked, my dear teachers, everything will be answered now. Yeah, great. So from the past, through the present, and
Hello.
into the future, three things we are going to see. Yeah, so let's see from the past. First, let's look at the past, then we'll go to the present, and next we'll go to the future, right? So from the past. Great. So I think everybody are familiar with the Big Bang theory, right? So can somebody just put some points about Big Bang theory? The Big Bang theory, what it is about, and you can just raise your hands at least. Like, yes, fine. I'm very much familiar with Big Bang theory, and from where it started. There's a raise hand button. You can just raise your hand. You know, yeah, so a nebula exploded is a cosmological model of the observable universe. Beautiful, thank you. Formation of the universe, great. It's an explosion, wonderful. Great, 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 great. So let there be light, that is from the past, the Big Bang. Okay, great. So when we look at the history of universe, that the observable universe, as we can say that, okay. So everything started with a Big Bang. Yeah, fine. There are multiple theories that was stated by many scientists, saying that this is how the universe was born. But ultimately, the Big Bang was the one theory that was adopted, that was proven uh, among all the scientist fraternity, and it was, yes, and it was proven right, and is still proven right. Okay, so what is really about this Big Bang is, it started with a very 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 small space, a tightly dense back space, in the darkness. Yeah, fine. So it just exploded, it started expanding, it kept on expanding. So slowly, the quarks were formed, that is the nuclear part that is present in the atom, then the atoms, then came a lot of different elements came out. After elements came out, there were gases. As gases were there were then the gases became solid form, solid became liquid form. Then there were a lot of stars, galaxies, and here we have planets and everything. So this is a small prototype of a Big Bang, which I'm showing you right now. It is, yes, it is a basic theory from which the universe began. Okay, from here we started. So can anybody tell me, like, how many years we are old? How many years this observable universe we see is old? Can anybody have some numbers on it? Yeah, that's wonderful. Great. In the Indian term, if we could say, or at least in the 3.8 million. Okay, it's 3.8 billion years old. Okay, that's wonderful. Great. 13.8. Thank you so much. 13.8 million, 13.7, 13.8 billion years old. Exactly. Nearly 14. Nearly 14. Exactly right. So it is that many years old, and we are still moving. So how this Big Bang theory is just proven is because, see, when a particle expands, it is still expanding. The Earth is expanding from its position, and even Sun is moving forward, and each and every star systems, everything is moving forward, and everything is spreading out from one single point. So this really proves that everything was one single point, and it just came out. So that was Big Bang theory. That was the history of universe. Okay. Now what we are going to do is, my dear teachers, we are going to take the entire history of universe, that is 13.8 billion years, or the 14 billion years time span, into one calendar. Okay. If you take it into one calendar, that is a calendar starts from January and it ends at December, right? Okay. So from January to December, I'm going to place, or we are going to place, this 14 billion year old history of universe. Let's take it and place it in one calendar. Okay, great. So here it is. Now let's take that January 1, okay, at 12 a.m. The Big Bang started. So teacher has asked what really happened during the Big Bang. Okay, what really happened during the Big Bang is an entire mass of energy was constrained within one single singularity. Okay, singularity is an entire amount of data present in one single space. It's called a singularity. Once that singularity cannot hold that mass, it just explodes. Okay, and it starts to expand. That's how it expanded. So January 1, let's take it as the start of the Big Bang. Okay, where we are right now in this calendar, it's January, February, March, April, May, June, July, August, September, October, November. So in the 13.8 billion years, where we are right now, we are in this calendar, where we are right now, like September, December. Okay, December 1, January 1, December 31st, exactly. Yeah, actually, when we talk about where we are right now, this sets to you, it's not September or November, it's actually December. Okay. If you take the human evolution and the entire age of the universe into one single calendar, it comes that our primates, that is the apes, started with 31st December at 6:05 a.m. Okay, fine. And the domestication of fire happened only a few seconds before the end of the start of the new year. Okay, so and the agriculture happened at 23 minutes 59 seconds, 23 hours 59 minutes and 32 seconds. Yeah, so um, sir, how can you please tell how can you converted this whole time in 1 year? It's as simple as that, my dear teacher. See, we have taken the entire age of universe, that is 14 billion years of universe, and we have taken into one single calendar. Okay, just if we imagine Jan 1 to be the Big Bang, and after 14.8 billion years, we are here in December 31st right now. Okay, and so we are just few minutes away. So why I'm talking about this? This is a cosmic perspective, my dear teachers. The cosmic perspective is the universe has been there for so many years. We are just come here and we are going to start our journey now. Okay, there is huge amount of journey that has been passed in our universe. Our present has just started. Okay, so that is a first cosmic perspective, what just born. Thank you so much. So that would be there. Yeah, so we are just born and we are just starting our journey. Okay, so when we think that, oh my God, we have a wonderful human history and humans have been there in this land for so much long time and we have been in this universe for a long time. No, we are just born. Yeah, and our just, our entire life has just started. That is a first cosmic perspective, what we should have. Okay, fine. So this is taking the entire thing and keeping it in one calendar, my dear teachers. Okay, now what we are going to do is, I'm going to show you some pictures of Earth's selfies. I think we all take selfies. We love selfies. We take selfie of ourselves. We love to do that. And the kids today love to do that. So let's show some Earth selfies. Okay, fine. So this was taken by what? This picture. This picture was taken by any idea, teachers? Like this, this entire this picture was taken by. Okay, this picture was taken by Voyager 1. Yeah. Yeah, it was taken, it is NASA, obviously, but it was taken by Voyager 1. Okay, Voyager 1, when it left, because we sent Voyager 1, Voyager 2 into the interstellar space because we wanted to know and we wanted people to reach, because if there are any aliens out there, or if there are any living species out there who are in search of another living species like us, um, this Voyager 1 will give them the idea to return back. Okay, so we just sent Voyager 1, Voyager 2 into the space. This was taken by Voyager 1 when it left our solar system. That is, Neptune is our last planet. Once it left Neptune, I think everybody might know this person called Carl Sagan. So he said that, why don't we move our camera and take a picture of Earth when seen from Neptune? And this is a real picture. So this is what it was. See, look at the vastness of the universe. Look at the vastness of the space, and we are just a tiny dot in it. At that time, the scientists told that, Earth is a it's a blue pale dot. Yeah. So this was one of the Earth selfies. Yeah. And I'm going to show you another selfie. Okay, great. So this was taken by, so it is through the rings of Saturn. Okay, so you have a little bit of artist rendering in this picture. Okay, but still, this same picture is always there. Like, it was done by, it was taken by, to Saturn. There was a satellite that was sent, a spacecraft that was sent. It was Cassini spacecraft. Yeah. So Cassini took this selfie of Earth again. So why we are showing all these things, my dear teachers? It is to show the perspective. It is to show that, see, for example, if an alien comes into our solar system and just sees that, okay, fine, where do we go? They may see Jupiter, they may see Saturn, but again, they may see those planets, but when they see Earth, they're just like, what are these small rocks revolving around the star? Okay, so Earth is that small, and we are a very small part in it again. Yeah, great. So this is about all the past that has happened, and it has brought till here for us. Okay, now teachers, what we are going to do right now is, like, what is the present scenario right now, what we are aiming to do. Okay, so we are going to look at that. So I think the path is strong. Now let's go through the present. So the past is, the Big Bang happened, um, atoms were formed, molecules were formed, and many elements were formed, gases were formed, and once the gases were formed, there was formation of a planet, formation of stars, galaxies, planets, and then the life eventually. Yeah. So once all is formed, now here we are in the present, our path is strong. And why we are saying the path is strong is because I think everybody might have seen this picture. Like, you can just raise your hand, like, if you have seen this picture very recently, and you were really proud of it, that, okay, oh my God, this is what it looked like. Yeah, so you can just raise hands, click the raise hand button. Like, you were really, really amazed. You're blown, your minds were blown when you were looking at this picture. Thank you, thank you, thank you so much, thank you. So it was a picture of a black hole. Yeah, so teachers, this is a black hole because since long years, as Newton came, he told about gravity. He said that, see, every body is present in this universe exerts gravity. That's what he said. And then, but Einstein really could not figure out how gravity really moves through the space. He really couldn't figure out that out. So, sorry, Newton really couldn't figure that how. So he found gravity, but he did not really figure out, like, how really gravity moves. So he just stopped there. So now there came Einstein, like my favorite scientist. Like, I love Einstein so much. So Einstein came in. Okay. Einstein really came in and he said that, okay, gravity moves in the form of waves, for example, like this. Okay, fine. So when you take the entire space as time space, space-time continuum or space-time fabric, and what came before Big Bang? Ma'am, I'll answer you the question at the end. Thank you so much. Okay. Great. So the thing is, if you take the entire space to be a space-time fabric or space-time continuum, if you put Earth into it, it exerts gravity. if you put sun in that space-time fabric, it exerts gravity. Okay, so for example, when you take a tub of water, and you throw a stone into that, or you just you tap that, there will be a ripple that happens, right? So that is how gravity also moves. This was given by Mr. Albert Einstein. Okay, so that really led us to a black hole. Okay, great. Now, teachers, can you just simply just tell me in a line, like, what is a black hole, like how black hole is formed? Just with one single line or a few words, or 2-3 words. Can you say like how really black hole is formed? Formation of stars. Okay, great. Star life. Gravity is strongest in the black hole. That is really great. That is true. That is true. Okay, death of a giant star. Yeah, that's great. Explosion, annihilation, star dies. Exactly. So when a star dies on itself, a black hole is formed. Okay, so teachers, just imagine. So here, a death of a star. Thank you so much. Condensation of mass. Exactly right. Okay, so to put it very simple, when we take the space-time fabric, we have put Earth here. Now, for example, just put sun in there. Okay, the gravity would be very high. Okay, so the gravity that is present in the core of the sun, and there will be a gravity that's present in the outer layer of the sun. Okay, so the core of the sun keep pulling the outer inside, and the outer part of the sun keeps going outside. So there will be a tug of war between the outer gases and the core of the sun, core of a star. Okay, let's take a star. Okay, so when the core strengthens, the core of a star strengthens, and the gravity is very high, what really happens is the star just pulls all the mass that's outside it, and it dies on itself. So when the star dies, there will be a rip in the space-time fabric. There is a space-time fabric, and there will be a rip. So once there is a rip, your black holes are formed. Okay, so as you're wonderfully said, my dear teachers, yeah, so exactly. So what seeing through gravity, high gravitation puts from the end of stars, exactly. That's absolutely right. Okay, so nothing can escape. So once the entire mass has been pulled out to one single singularity, so that is what we were talking about, singularity. So some of the teachers really asked, like, why it is keep on expanding. Okay, so it is a singularity. So it was from, so even universe started like that, from singularity to an expanded form. Similarly, black hole also more or less the same. So what really happened, black hole is but different, but really the concept is the same. So now what happens is a star dies on itself. So just imagine a star in the size of Earth, a star in the size of Earth. The black hole would be the size of Punjab or Gujarat. Okay, so the size will be very small, but that much mass of Earth, or the density of Earth, will be taken into a very small, speck of space. Okay, huge mass in a very small space. Okay, so that is your black hole. Okay, so now this black hole has so much gravity that not even light can escape it. Okay, fine. So because even the light that passes through the black hole will be taken by black hole, because light is the speedest, that is photons. They're the most speedest particles that we have ever experienced. Yes, so but even black holes suck that, that it has that much of gravity in it. Okay, so and I was talking this to a few children. Teachers, you can also explain that, like why black hole we are seeing some circular lights. Because one of the students wonderfully asked a question. He asked a question, he was in 8th standard. He asked me this question, saying that, I think last 2 weeks back, when we were talking about black holes, this child asked me a question, sir, light cannot escape a black hole, but when we take a picture of an object, obviously it's a reflection of light. Okay, if I'm going to take a picture of this phone, it is a reflection of light. I take a picture, which means that light falls on the object, it reflects back into my camera, and it forms as a picture. Yeah, so pictures are nothing but the light captured. Yeah, fine. If not even light could escape a black hole, how we are able to take a picture of a black hole if light is not able to come out of it? Okay, fine. So what could be the answer? So that was the question of a child. The child brilliantly asked, okay, yes, multiple satellite system, wonderful, great. Yeah, that is how they did it, wonderful. But if not even light could escape out of a black hole, how we would able to take a picture of the light and say that, okay, this is how it black hole. That's why it is black. Thank you, great. Thermal radiation dispersed, exactly, dispersion. Yeah, that is where we are. Light bending system. Exactly. That's right. That's absolutely right. Okay. Light is surrounding the black hole. Yeah. See, black hole sucks in the light that comes into it. But light not only comes into the black hole, it even goes far away from the black hole. The light that goes far away from the black hole are bended due to the gravity. Okay. So it's all due to the bending of light. Yeah, fine. So just imagine this a black hole, and if the light goes inside a black hole, it sucks in. But what about the light that goes away from the black hole? Due to the gravity, the light bends. Okay, so from all the way, the light just bends. Okay, so the bended light gives you this shape, if I may say like a vada. Okay, fine. So this is how, and multiple satellite system. Thank you so much. Okay, so so multiple satellite system, and due to that we have already tracked it. So many countries put their effort into it, and they have taken this wonderful picture. And there was a wonderful question here asked by a teacher saying that when black hole attracts objects towards itself, where does the object goes? Okay, so where does really the object goes? That is where we are trying to find out. The thing is, we are not able to understand the singularity of a black hole. I'm going to show you another picture here. So if you can see here, okay, fine. So exactly. So this is artistic rendering, but you can see the different layers of a black hole. So yeah, so just forget about the jet and acceleration disk and everything. Look at the singularity. The singularity is high in the center black region. Okay, singularity is very high there. Okay, great. So the objects, the light that go inside a black hole is just sucked in. So that is why finding the singularity is very important, my dear teachers, because you have huge data inside that. Yeah, so you have huge data of mass inside it, and finding what is present in the singularity would be one of the most wonderful things we have ever done, because if you are able to find that, we will able to find out what happened before Big Bang. Yeah, fine. So that kind of a data is present within the singularity of a black hole. Okay, great. So yes, what really happens into the object as of the physics we know, as of the science we know, what happens really to an object when falls into a black hole? It spaghettifies. Okay, so there is something called a spaghettification. It's a real word. Yeah, spaghettification. So spaghettification is nothing but, we eat spaghetti, right? So spaghetti is like a noodle thing. Yeah. So if you just rip that out, it comes pieces by pieces, like small pieces just shreds out. Okay, so that's how we will be. For imagine we are suited up and we are entering into a black hole. Okay, so first we go inside that. It'll be a little dark, but that is the theory. That's how the science speaks. Okay, if you go inside that, we will be, we will be ripped apart part by part, atom by atom will be ripped apart. Okay, so that is spaghettification. So here's your answer, sir or ma'am, who asked this question. What will happen to an object that goes inside a black hole? It spaghettifies. It just rips upon atom by atom. Okay, so that happens within the black hole. So this is a wonderful discovery we have done as humans. We have really explored. See, just imagine the exploration thirst of humans, my dear teachers. So we started with caves, and look, we are looking at black holes pictures, and we are just amazed by it. Yeah, fine. So exactly. So gravitation waves, even gravitation waves. Let me tell you another excellent story, my dear teachers. I think you can raise your hands if you are aware that the gravitation waves have been discovered by us. I think 2 years back, 2.5 years back, 2017, we have discovered gravitation waves. Yeah, fine. LIGO project. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Is it true that black hole is a three-dimensional space in a sphere and not just a hole in space? Exactly right. Exactly right. You are right, actually. Yeah, fine. So great. So the LIGO project. So teachers, the gravitation waves, thank you so much, teachers, for raising your hand. Like the gravitation waves, which we have detected 2.5 years back, okay, it was said by Einstein 100 years back. 100 years back, Albert Einstein told that, okay, now gravity is going to move in waves. Yeah, fine. And that's how it is. He just laid down the theory and he just left it. And if I could say, all due respect, scientists have done the homeworks of Albert Einstein, like took it, made into a project, and they have literally found out gravitational waves. And the beautiful thing about these waves which you have detected is, my dear teachers, these waves were found, if you can see in the picture apart from Earth, the right side picture, where there are two black holes that are circulating among each other. Yeah, even Indians predicted. Yeah, yeah, Higgs boson. Exactly, very good. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So the two black holes that, that revolved upon each other, and it just collided billions and billions and billions and billions and billions of years ago. They both collided, and it created a ripple in the space. And after billions and billions and billions of years, we detected it right now. Okay, fine. So just look at the beauty of space. The beauty of space lies here. See, we are finding out, we are proving theories set by scientists 100 years back, and we are finding out things that were started billions of years back. Yeah, fine. So that is a beauty of cosmos, that is a beauty of universe, and these gravitation waves we have found. So what about this what is so unique about gravitation waves? How can it help us? Is we have unique help we can get from gravitation waves, is because when you take light waves, my dear teachers, we all know that light waves can be blocked. Yes, light waves can be blocked. Yeah, so you can block light waves. Yeah, so you can block it, right? Sound can be blocked. Yeah, so sound and light cannot travel to each and every space, penetrate through all the spaces. But gravitation waves are not like that. Okay, if you keep a hard rock in front of a torchlight, obviously the light is stopped. Yeah, fine. If you keep on, gravitation waves travels through vacuum. Yeah, it travels through nothing, and nothing can stop it. So we can reach places where we have never reached before by sending these gravitation waves. Yeah, so that is such a beauty by how, where we have discovered this gravitation waves, my dear teachers. It will be really, really helpful for a lot of scientists, lot of theories to be proven in the coming years. Yeah, so that is the beauty of gravitation waves. So these are all the things which we have recently found and we are doing right now, my dear teachers. Yeah, great. And not even, so this is all about internationally things that happen. Now some Indian things that we should be really, really proud of is yeah, electromagnetic waves also can travel in vacuum. Yes, thank you, sir. Thank you, ma'am. Sorry, like ma'am, sir, whoever. Yeah, thank you, teacher. Yeah, so now let's come a little bit Indian. Like I think we all know the lady present here. She is exactly. Thank you. Some wonderful examples of interstellar female robot. Okay, Vyomitra, thank you so much. Okay, so her name is Vyomitra, and she is specially designed for the Gaganyaan mission. The Gaganyaan mission is sending our astronauts, Indian astronauts, into space. So it's a manned mission. So to help the manned mission, we have an artificial intelligent robot, Miss Vyomitra, and she will be assisting us. So Sophia is another robot. She's actually a world citizen. Okay? But Vyomitra is something designed by our scientists, Indian ISRO. ISRO has done this. Okay, great. So Vyomitra, and she is going to assist the people. Okay, so teachers, when we were looking at the path is strong. The path is strong because we are looking up into the sky. We are looking into the sky and we wanted to wander. Yeah, we wanted to explore. We wanted to go to places where nobody has went. Yeah, so this thirst for knowledge is what really, really drives us into a better future, my dear teachers. Yeah, so we should always, yes, our children will be very curious when they know this, when they see this, and when they read this, they have a lot of passions in it. Yeah, so but yes, this level of curiosity should always remain with children. So I think you will share all these with your kids, and please keep sharing it, keep sharing the thought. The thought is very, very, yes, Sophia is the first robot citizen. Citizenship came from Saudi Arabia. Thank you. Yeah, great. So teachers, so this is what we are doing right now. And now we will go to a little bit of a science fiction where there are theories. These theories are not yet proven, but these are some wonderful theories that is there in our mind. Okay, great. So these are some things which you have seen. So we have seen cosmic calendar. We are only in the December 31st. We are just born. Yeah, so that is a wonderful cosmic perspective. And when you look at the vastness of the universe, you are just mesmerized by it. You're just lost in it. Yeah. So Great. So all these things will really make us speechless. The universe is that beautiful. So the past is from through the present. The present part is yeah. So we have black holes. So what is really a black hole? Where does the singularity lies? And why detection of gravitation waves is a paradigm shifting situation for us. And even wonderfully, India is leading as one of the world leaders. We are also leading space missions right now, and let's hope that we send wonderful, because even Mangalyaan went to Mars. It took a lot of data there, but bad luck, Chandrayaan was only 98% successful. People say it is failed, but it's not failed. It's 98% successful. Yeah, we still detected Vikram probe again. We detected it. It sent us data. We are working on the data now. So I wouldn't say Chandrayaan is a failure mission. It is a successful mission. It is 98% successful. Okay, great. So now next comes Gaganyaan, also into the track where we are trying to send people to space, and really hope that this mission be a wonderful success and we go on top of space research and everything. Great. Now, through this, we are going to write into the future. Before going into the future, my dear teachers, before going into the future, let's look at a Kardashev scale. Teachers, you can just raise your hand if you're aware of this Kardashev scale. The Kardashev scale of civilization. Great, great, great. Wonderful, wonderful. Type 1, type 2, type 3, and type 4 civilization. Okay. So before getting into what really our future is and what scientists are working upon right now and what may really change, discuss on what may really change the perspective of the entire universe, let's look at a simple thing about type 1. So type 1 civilization is, because Kardashev scale is a scale that really explains the civilization's prospects within the universe. Okay, great, fine. Exactly, it's not a failure. We'll get back soon. Thank you, teacher. Yeah, great. So when we take type 1 civilization, what is a type 1? Type 1 civilization is a civilization that is that can harness the energy of their planet. Yeah, fine. For example, if you take Earth, we are harnessing the energy of the Earth. Yeah, we are having we are having we take energy from the water, we take energy from the plants, we take energy from the animals, we take energy from the soil, from the minerals. So everywhere we take the energy out. So if we are able to harness the energy from the planet where we live in, it is a type 1 civilization. Okay, fine. So for example, if you take type 2 civilization, type 2 civilization is a civilization if we are able to harness the energy of our host star. Okay, so I'm giving you an example for Dyson sphere. Okay, so yeah, so Dyson sphere is nothing but, see, just imagine this, my dear teachers. Okay, just imagine this. We have a lot of solar panels in our planet Earth. We have a lot of solar panels and we take a lot of energy from it. Okay, okay, no, I'm not audible now. Okay, before continuing this, like, am I audible, teachers? Is my voice audible? Okay, thank you, thank you, thank you so much. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Great. Thank you, teachers. Thank you. Okay, so back to Dyson sphere. Great. So, teachers, so type 2 civilization is a civilization that can harness the energy of the host star. Yeah. So if we have a host star, and if you're able to get the entire energy of the star, that is a type 2 civilization. Just imagine, teachers, as we were saying, we have solar panels on our Earth. Yeah. And through these solar panels, we get a lot of energy from sun and we are able to harness it. So this energy is just the energy that is entering in the Earth, entering into the Earth. Okay. So only the energy, only the sunlight that enters into the Earth, we are harnessing only that energy. But imagine if you are able to find a technique where we are able to construct solar panels all over the sun and we are able to harness the entire energy of the sun only for our enhancement. Okay, fine. So the entire energy of the sun, that is a theoretical design which is called as a Dyson sphere. Okay, fine. So it is just a hypothetical theoretical design, and this design really can take the entire energy of the star out. Okay, wouldn't that affect the entire solar system? Yes, it would affect, but that is what type 2 civilization is, ma'am. Okay, fine. See, this type 2 civilization will find a way to take the energy and use it in the right way. Use it in the right way in the sense, use it to develop their civilization. Okay, fine. That is a type 2. Okay, great. When we take type 3, okay, if we are able to harness the energy of our host galaxy, that is a type 3. Our host galaxy is Milky Way galaxy. Okay, so I've taken a bit of a Milky Way galaxy over here, and if you are able to provide route maps to the Milky Way galaxy, and if you're able to travel there, we call it as a type 3 civilization. Okay, so there are n number of stars in our Milky Way galaxy, billions and billions of stars in it, and if you're able to go there, and if you are able to harness that, that is a type 3 civilization. Okay, and here is type 4. Type 4 civilization is just intergalactic. We go galaxy to galaxy, so our nearby galaxy, Andromeda galaxy, is there. Okay, so if you're able to harness the energy of intergalactic, having intergalactic space travel, that is a type 4 civilization. So where we are right now, teachers, we are in type 1, type 2, type 3, or type 4 as people of Earth right now. Okay, so we are in type, which type? Type 1, type 2, type 3, type 4. Okay, we are in type 1. Exactly. Type 2. No, we can't create Dyson sphere now. It's not possible. Okay, great. We don't have that much of cost or energy or even minds to do that. Okay, so type 1, exactly. So we are actually in somewhere around 0.7. We are not even type 1. Okay, so it takes at least 300 to 500 years more to become type 1 civilization. We're just type 0.7. Okay, so yeah, it is not even type 1, exactly. Okay, we use solar energy, teacher. We use solar energy, but we use solar energy only that is entering into the earth. Sun has so much energy with it. Yes. So how much years need to take to go to type 1? It's like 300 to 500 years minimum to go to type 1. So already we have cut down 50% of our forests. So in order to take to type 2 completely, it takes nearly millions of years to go to type 2 and billions more years to go to type 3 and type 4. If we are alive, we don't know. Many things might happen to us. Due to this COVID situation, we don't know really where it goes, our world. After 50 or 100 years, where we will be right now itself, it's a big question mark. But still, okay, if we are alive and if we are able to sustain our civilization to go to type 3 and type 4, it takes nearly millions and millions and millions of years. Okay, great. So, but type 1, we can go in a few centuries. Within a few centuries, we can be type 1. Okay, let us see where it takes us. So why we are talking this, talking about this, my dear teachers, now we are going into the future. Okay, fine. If we are a species that has entered into type 2, if we are a species that has been that has been reached by another type 2 or type 3 civilization, how would our world look like? Okay, what would their lives look like? Okay, so we are going to just go into the future. So there are certain things which we can talk about, that into the future these things will be really interesting, and these things will really help us to sustain our civilization. Okay, so teachers, can you just give me some ideas? Okay, fine. We have to take so many births to a utilization of energy of type 3. Exactly. That is exactly true. Thank you, teacher. Okay, now just give me some okay, if we are able to harness all the sun's energy, will we be able to use it? Because it's very vast. Yes, it is very vast, teacher. It is very vast. The energy is very vast. The thing is, that much of energy, that is what type 2 civilizations. Type 2 civilizations start to explore other planets. See, now we are trying to, even if you take Tesla, the company Tesla run by Elon Musk, that is SpaceX program. Okay, fine. So they are trying to find life on Mars. Yeah, if we are able to go there and just start a space there and try to take a lot of data from Mars, just understand that is what evolution is. Okay, fine, great. So yeah, we may not be able to harness the entire energy of the sun right now, but if we become type 2, we should do it in order to do that. Okay, so it's a controlled way. Exactly. Thank you. Right. So yes, so teachers, back to this, like just put me some suggestions here, or put me some things here. Okay, if Earth is about to die, because sun dies at one point, because how much is the lifespan of our solar system, my dear teachers? If you could write it here. What is the lifespan of our sun has been born since? Yeah, so 4.6 billion years, exactly. Yeah, 4.5 billion years. So yes, it is somewhere in the middle. Exactly right. It's somewhere in the middle. It is somewhere 4.5 billion years. It has been passed, and still sun has 4.5 billion years. So after 4.5 billion years, sun will be gone. Yeah, the entire energy of the sun would have been gone. Yeah. So after 4.5 billion years, we need to find another host star. Okay, or you just give some suggestions, my dear teachers. What can we do if we are out of resources in this planet? Okay, what can we do if there is a huge crisis on this planet? Okay, what can we do if we feel, because our red giant is slowly expanding, right? So he'll become a very big red giant, and he's going to die on his own. Okay, fine. So please give me some suggestions, like what can we do about it? Okay, more than 5 billion years we have. Okay, but still alternative resources. Okay, what if human resources get wiped out and re-emerged after many centuries? Will we be able to harness type 1 or type 2? Ma'am, again, it's a long way go. Okay, see, this is our right chance. If you are able to sustain right now, then we can go to type 2. Starting all over from the first, it is very tough. Okay, harness renewable, harness energy of some other star. Exactly, another star will take place of sun. Okay, great. So we want to find another host star. Okay, so that is the first future which many scientists are working upon. Okay, life on planet B. Okay, fine, we are going to look on another life on another planet. Okay, exactly, a backup planet. Oh, see, a wonderful answer I'm getting for the backup planet. Yeah, so if our planet goes crashing up, let's replace it with some other planet. Okay, fine. Mars may be the answer. We can go planet by planet, jump, but once the star dies, we need to do that. Now, that is where our first future is leading upon, is finding some exoplanets. Okay, fine. So exoplanets are planets that are Earth-like, and that has solar system pretty much like us, where there is something called as Goldilocks zone. Goldilocks zone is a zone in which a plant can sustain life. That is Goldilocks zone. How will we go to exoplanet without resources? Now it is not possible, obviously, but people are working on it. I'll tell you some data. I'll give you some interesting facts, how we are doing it and what we are doing in this in this regards. Okay, great. So now, talking about exoplanets, I'm going to tell you a very small example of Proxima Centauri system. So this is an Alpha Centauri B is the star, and Proxima Centauri is the planet. So this solar system has a planet which is Earth-like. And why this is very interesting, like we have thousands of planets discovered like Earth-like. We have seen like thousands of, we have a catalog of planets that are Earth-like, that harness life in the planets. We have it. But what is unique about Alpha Centauri or Proxima Centauri system is because they are the most nearest one. They're very near compared to any other exoplanet that is present out there in the universe. Okay, great. So talking about this Proxima Centauri, great. So one of the teachers wonderfully asked the question, without resources, like how can we go? How much time it would take to go? That was a good question. See, teachers, it takes, for example, with the resources what we have right now. Okay, whatever resources we have right now, if you could collect all the resources and if you make it to one project, that okay, fine, let's go to this place. Okay, we collect all the resources and we put it. Okay, it takes 75,000 years to reach there. Okay, so it takes generations after generations after generation, that is nearly decades of generation after only we'll be reaching there. Okay, so one of the things that we can do to make people reach there is take a lot of people in, put it in the spaceship, and they have to make generations. So after decades and decades of generation, they may reach there. Okay, so this is a long shot. So we are never going to go to an alpha century system right now. It's not possible. It may take many more centuries to at least think about such kind of an idea, because we don't have such resources with us. Okay, but one thing the scientists have done right now is it is 4 light years away. Yeah, fine. So exactly. Thank you so much. Yeah. So it is 4 light years away. So now what the scientists have done is we don't have equipments that goes into the speed of light, but we have equipments that goes 99 point some percentage with the speed of light. So what they have done is, my dear teachers, they have sent these things. I think 4 years back they have sent the probes, which has small tiny cameras in it. So it goes there. It takes nearly 20 years to go there. Okay, fine. So it takes nearly 20 years to go there. It takes pictures, it sends the data back, and it is going to come back after 20 years. So nearly after roughly 50 years, if everything is fine, they will return back, and we may get some idea regarding that planet. Okay, fine. So this is one wonderful thing that is really going on, that is finding some exoplanets. And the first step is finding life on Mars. Yeah, that is the first step. People are trying it out. Thank you so much. And the next thing, how we can really do it is, I think, through wormholes. Wormholes is again a theory. Yeah. So we have never seen it now. We have seen only black holes. But again, Einstein did the same thing. He gave us gravitational waves, it came. He gave us black holes, it came. And like now we have wormholes here, and we have not found a wormhole right now, and we don't know how to make a wormhole also. But hopefully, okay, we get always like just raise your hands. You can just click the raise hand button if you're aware of this wormhole thing, wormholes, and interstellar space travel. Exactly, right. So it's a shortcut within the space. That is a wormholes. Yeah, fine. If you are able to take a sheet of paper, okay. So I'm going to travel from, for example, if you want to go from here till here. Yeah. So it takes a lot of time and distance to go there. Yeah, fine. But if I'm able to bend the space, there is a shortcut that is formed here. Okay, this is a wormhole. Okay, so what is the difference between a wormhole and a black hole? A black hole is just a ripple in space-time fabric. So it's a rip in space-time fabric. So it is just a 3-dimensional entity that is present. So it just sucks things in. That's it. But wormhole is something different. Wormhole is if the gravity is too high, more than a black hole. Yeah, if gravity is too high, more than a black hole, and that creates a tunnel between two spaces, that is a wormhole. So black holes expansion is a wormhole in general terms. Okay, fine. So it's a tunnel that really connects two places. So this is again a wonderful thing. So if, for example, just even Earth is here and Proxima Centauri is here, and I need not travel the entire distance. If I take a shortcut, I can directly go into that. So this is a concept of a wormhole. It's a tunnel that connects two different spaces. Okay. Yeah, a wormhole is again, it looks spherical, but yeah, like an Interstellar movie. Yeah, in the movie Interstellar, if you have seen it, you could have seen the wormhole. Okay. It looks like a tunnel. Okay, but it's again, it looks like 3-dimensional because you go inside a wormhole, the entire theory of physics just breaks down. That is why scientists are not exploring much into wormhole. Okay, so yes, wormhole occurs due to again a ripple within the space-time. So a black hole's mass gets very bigger and it creates a tunnel between two parts. That is a wormhole. Okay, great. So exactly. So these are all the things where people are really working out. Quantum physics, yes. When you take particles like quarks and everything, that comes under quantum physics, and it really helps with these wormholes again. Yeah, fine, great. So when we talk about all these things, my dear teachers, exoplanets, wormholes, black holes, and are these wormholes dangerous? Ma'am, it should be dangerous because we really don't know what really happens. Because it should be dangerous because if it is, you know, if you don't know it, it's always really. So wormhole do really exist? No, no, in the sense it may exist. Okay, I cannot say no. We cannot say yes also because 20 years back we said that black holes never exists. Okay, many centuries back we said that the Earth was flat. Okay, but still we are here right now. We have proved everything and we are here. So you see the line, right? So there is a possibility of a wormhole also. Okay, great. Yeah, so where all these things comes is now string theory and possibility of multiple universes. Okay, um, shall we be able to see our back in a wormhole? Exactly, theoretically, yes. Theoretically, yes. Okay, so string theory and possibility of multiple universes. Okay, so teachers, you can just raise your hand if you have this love for string theory. Like string theory, yes, I have collected some data. Like I love string theory. String theory is something astronomers thousands of exosolar planets. Yes, exactly. They're like it's like catalog. Exoplanets are a catalog of planets that are present. Yeah, fine. Um, exactly. So string theory is nothing but so simple. Um, multiple universe by Stephen Hawking. Yeah, great, exactly. So let's touch that and we'll see where it goes. Okay, so teachers, when we talk about string theory, it is the theory of everything. Yeah, fine. It's a theory that really binds each and everything. That is string theory. Okay, so strings. So it really states that each and every matter that is present is made up of tiny strings. Okay, fine. Because you have different things like gravity you have separate, you have electromagnetic radiation separate, so you have different things separate. So in order to put it into one single thing, uh, they came up with something called a string theory because the tiniest particle, as we know, is quarks. So you have molecules, you have atoms, you have nucleus, inside that you have quarks. So inside quarks, as of now, theoretically, practically nothing we saw, but theoretically, they say that inside quarks is made up of tiny strings. Just imagine a violin. Okay, so just take a violin for example. Okay, so different musical notes come with the movement of strings. If the string is pulled it in one form, one music note comes. If a string is pulled in another form, another musical note comes. Similarly, string theory is also a thing. There will be tiny strings that is present. If the string vibrates in in one form, it forms a hydrogen atom. Yeah, it vibrates in another form, it forms an oxygen atom. It vibrates in another form, it forms a carbon atom. It vibrates in another form, it forms an iron atom. So based on vibration of the string, each and everything is formed. So now we are unifying the entire theory. Okay, so that is the unification theory or string theory that is present. Okay, fine. So this is the basic thing which we can speak about right now. If you want to explore more in string theory, you can always look at that, explore that. It is so beautiful. But the problem with this is, my dear teachers, can you just tell me, teachers, in the chat box, we are in which dimension? 2 dimension, 3 dimension, 4 dimension, 5 dimension? In which dimension we are? I think like we humans, we are in which dimension? 3 dimension, 4 dimension, 2 dimension? We are in 6 dimension. No. Okay, 3 dimension, 2, 3D. Okay, okay. Okay, great. More threes. Thank you so much. Some fours. Okay. Work in only 3D. Okay, great. So, teachers, we are actually 3 dimension beings living in 4 dimension space-time continuum. This is, please just listen to this carefully. We are 3 dimension human beings. We are 3 dimensional beings that live in 4 dimension space-time continuum. For example, I'll tell you with example. Okay, let's take a dot. Okay, fine. For example, just take a dot. If you put a dot into it, a dot is which dimension? A dot. A single dot will be in which dimension? A single dot. A dot, does dot have a length? Does dot have a breadth? Does dot have a width? Length, breadth, and width, is it applicable for a dot? No. So dot is no dimension. Thank you so much. Dot is a 0D. Okay, it's a no dimension thing. It does not have any length. It do not have any width. It do not have any height. Nothing. Okay, fine. So dot is a no dimension thing. Okay, great. Now I'm going to draw a line. Okay, if I draw a line is in which dimension? From dot to a line will be in 1 dimension. It has a length in it. Okay, great. Uh, dot is a zero dimension. Length is a 1 dimension. Okay, and now I'm going to give a breadth to it. Okay, or I'm going to make it a square out of it. Okay, a square will be in which dimension? So length, that is a line, is in one dimension, and I'm going to take it to 2 dimension. Exactly right. Okay, now that is 2 dimension as a square. Okay, great, wonderful. Now I'm going to elongate it and give some space in it. Okay, I'm going to give some space in it and make it as a cube. Okay, if I give some space and make it as a cube, it becomes 3 dimension. Exactly. Yeah. So 0 dimension, 1 dimension, 2 dimension, 3 dimension. Okay, wonderful. Now we are also similarly same. We have a height, we have a width, we have space inside us. That is 3 dimension beings. But we live in 4 dimension space time continuum, because time is also another dimension for us. Okay, because see, for example, just imagine you want to meet your friend. Okay, you are going to meet your friend. Okay, so what would you say? You would say, and you're giving your address to your friend, for example. Okay, you're going to give your address to your friend. Okay, what would you say? I live in so and so apartment. Okay, you would say, travel so many kilometers and come, take the 14th floor. Okay, fine. And you will say that meet me, 60 kilometers apart. You come and you take the 14th floor, so and so building, and everything. You finish it off, but without telling the time. How would you meet your friend? Like, it is 4 p.m. You'll meet at 3 p.m. You'll meet at 2 p.m. You don't know, right? Because time is also another dimension got by, thank you so much, general theory of relativity by Albert Einstein. So we are 3 dimension human beings living in 4 dimension space-time continuum, because time is another dimension for us. Okay, great. Now, since time is a dimension, we are able to perceive time only in one space. That is, from present to future only we can go. We cannot go to our past. Okay, great, fine. So from one position, so next moment, next moment, next moment, next moment we go, but we are not able to go to our past. Exactly right. So, but when you go to 5 dimension, theoretically, just imagine now, just it's all imagination now. Okay, so we are now in 4 dimension beings. Yeah, 3 dimension beings living in 4 dimension space-time continuum. Great. Now, if you go to 5 dimensions, you will be able to live your entire life back and forth. That is 5 dimension. You go to 6 dimension, you will be able to alter things that is present in past and future and everything. So there goes 7 dimension, 8 dimension, 9, 10, 11, it goes on. And why we are talking about this dimension is, my dear teachers, the string theory is mathematically, it is giving us equations saying that string theories can be present, but it can be present only in 10 dimensions. At least more than 10 dimension beings only can perceive string theory. Okay, fine. So that is the reason string theory is, as of now, many scientists are banging their heads into it and trying to get something out of it. So, and there should be multiple universes. Okay, so there goes fictional thing. But as of now, we are 3 dimension beings living in 4 dimension space-time continuum, and we cannot perceive other dimensions as of now. Okay, we perceive a 4 dimension thing? Can we perceive a 5 dimension being? Can we perceive a 1 dimension being? No, we cannot. Exactly, we cannot. Okay, fine. So there goes science fiction. A lot of movies are taken by it. Okay, fine. So is time travel possible or not? There is a great question over here. Okay, is time travel machines that go into the past? See, teachers, just think about this for a second. Okay, hold on with the time travel thing. Okay, we are already time traveling. Okay, we are already time traveling. Let me tell you how. The stars that you look at the sky. Okay, fine. So the stars you look at the sky are present stars or dead stars, because the light that comes from the stars takes billions and billions and billions of years to reach our earth, right? So you are looking at the stars that were present billions of years ago, which may be already dead. So we are looking at a past star, not a present one. So which we are already time traveling. Okay, we are seeing dead stars. Okay, fine. We are looking the past. Great, fine. So we are already time traveling. Great. So to come to your question, can we time travel? Obviously, that kind of theory is there, but in order to take it into practicality, we need to have huge resources, huge time, huge energy, and make such big equipments so that we can travel through the speed of light. If we are able to travel to the speed of light, we can time travel. Okay, that is what Einstein says. Okay, great. So yeah, through a wormhole. I think even in the movie Interstellar, you might have seen that if you could go in the speed of light, uh, time goes very slow for you compared to the people who are present in the Earth. Yeah, fine. So that is it. You get your answer. Like you can time travel. Yeah. And one more interesting fact, let me tell you. One more interesting fact, let me tell you. Okay. The thing is, I'll tell you a very crazy idea. Okay. If suppose this is pure imagination, which I'm telling, purely hypothetical. Keep your minds just imagine things. Okay. Great. See, if you are able to go to that Proxima system, okay, it takes so many years to go there, right? Yeah. So dinosaurs, the dinosaurs were extinct those many years back. So if you have all the equipment and everything, and if you are vast rich religion, vast rich civilization, and you go to that place after that time, and you have a very big telescope and look at Earth, the light that traveled when the dinosaurs were extinct might have reached exactly at that position when you reach that planet. So, which means that uh, theoretically you can see dinosaurs getting extinct after going to the planet. After reaching the planet, you look at a telescope, that light will slowly reach you at that moment of time. So you can really see dinosaurs getting extinct also. Okay, so this is something crazy about science. Yeah, but theoretically it's true. Yeah, that is why I said it's hypothetical. Okay, it's a small dot. Okay, but it is hypothetical that if you're able to have a telescope and if you can theoretically see it, if suppose, yeah, the light that travels when the dinosaurs are extinct might have really reached there when you reach the planet. So you can literally see how the dinosaurs got extinct. Yeah, so it's a cool thing to watch, right? I mean, I for like every living things are important, but I'm just saying a crazy thing. That's it. Okay, so yes, teachers. So this is about a future that looks like the future is good, the path is good, everything is fine. Okay, now um, as we said, my dear teachers, we are explorers. Yeah, we are people who always look up to the sky, explore things. Because when we didn't have any path to go, we looked at the stars and we moved. Yeah, fine. And even there are three pyramids that are built. That it looks like the stars, the three stars that is present in the sky. So we always looked up and when we moved it. Yeah, so this is our entire civilization is all about, my dear teachers. So this is your cosmic perspective. Okay, fine. Let me just finish this with one simple beautiful thing which I would like to tell you all. um, we are all in this together. Okay, see, the atoms that is present in our body, the carbon atoms that is present in our body can be traced in the faraway stars. In the faraway star systems, planets also have the same carbon atoms, right? So for example, just imagine this, my dear teachers, just imagine this for a second. Okay, this is true again. For example, we all perish and our carbon atoms will go thin into the air. The atoms are not going to get destroyed. Yeah, it will be there. Just imagine the entire star collapses and again a new star will be born after many years. And our carbon atoms, again it will form some planets and again life will be formed. So our carbon atoms are traced through many stars, many places. So when our star system collapses, when we perish, just imagine when we perish, our atoms will be there. Again, it forms life, and again, universe will be formed and it keeps expanding. So we are not only a part of universe, and a part of universe is within us. Okay, we are special because we're not different. We are special because we are all the same. We are one species. We are one civilization, and we have to always look up to the stars, and you have to move forward in this exploration of space. Yes, teachers. Great. So let's have keep values within ourselves. This is a cosmic perspective. Yes, teachers. Great. So we have discussed many things. So I thought that we could take some questions. Okay, fine. So a very few questions. Like if you could just type on your chat, we can uh, always do it, my dear teachers. Thank you, thank you, thank you so much. Thank you. Great. So with this wonderful perspective thought, any questions, my dear teachers? Anything you want to ask? Any crazy question is there? that we can really discuss upon? Okay, there is a question here. Is there life on Mars? No, ma'am. As of now, we have not found out any life on Mars. But still, maybe in the near future, we are trying to understand it. Okay, let us see. Okay. Will we be able to ever travel in the speed of light? Ma'am, like as ma'am or sir, like over. As of now, no, because we cannot travel in the speed of light. The science does not allow it. The science never allows that because that is the limit. Okay, so no, as I said, we are having equipments that travel 99% the speed of light, but we don't have 100%. So as of now, no, ma'am. Sorry. Why can't we save sun? That is an interesting thing. There is a movie called as Sunrise. I'm not sure about the movie, but in that they try to save the sun. They try to trigger the sun again. Sunshine, sunrise. If you know the movie, just put it here in the chat box. Okay. So in that, what they do is they try to trigger the sun's energy again by blasting it. Okay, fine. Yes, we can save the sun theoretically, but no. I think at a point of time, everything goes nil in space. Okay, so time travel is possible on Earth. No, ma'am. As of now, it is not possible. It's all theories. Okay, by theories, it's always possible, and people are working on it actually. Sunshine, thank you. Sunshine, sunshine, thank you. Sunshine only. Yeah. Is it possible that everyone would be able to visit moon? Okay. They are going to die one day. Okay. See, is it possible everybody to go travel to moon? That is the thought process of everybody. Everybody, like many big companies, are trying to pitch in a lot of money into it and take people into moon. Even if you take Elon Musk, he also is planning the same. But still, yeah. Hopefully, I'm also looking forward to it. Maybe we can all pair up and go. All teachers can go into a mission to moon. Okay, that would be great. Okay, why no man ever moon after Apollo? Because Apollo mission was very. It took a lot of energy. It took a lot of resources into it, so they went it. But after that, even Russia tried, but Russia didn't go. Russia tried to go, but didn't go. So yeah, so as of now, we don't have the resources. No planets does not have the resources. That's why. This is the time we have more resources. Yes, we have more resources, but let's see. Does photon carry mass? No, photon is massless. How to make students understand, visualize light year calculations and distance? Okay. Teachers just put the calendar up. See, this is what it is. See, the session what we have right now. Okay. So, and the session what we did right now. See, God particle. Someone asked about God particle. See, God particle is nothing but it's like Higgs boson. I think you might have, everybody might have known about Higgs boson also. See, God particle is a particle when we try to accelerate atoms into the speed of light, like we try to accelerate, and then bang, right? Fine. They bang upon, they create new particles. So that is what Higgs boson also did. So that is what God particles is all about. Like it's a huge thing. So is photons carry mass? No, photons do not carry mass. That's the thing. Okay. PDF of PPT. It's as simple as that. Like no problem. We'll see how we can do. How we'll get certificate for the session. Higgs boson to students. Okay. How do you believe in? Okay, Jesus, great. Thank you so much for your wishes. Thank you. Voyager 1 and 2 data, it is present in the internet, my dear teachers. Okay, you can just type Voyager 1 and Voyager 2 data. Okay, in as per Hindu mythology, characters could fly, could see another dimensions. Does that mean they know advanced science than us? See, that is what, my dear teachers, like a teacher was asked, like in some mythology, not even Hindu mythology, like many mythologies. There is a Greek mythology where where gods travel in chariots and everything. Okay. See, again, those are mythologies, but science is real. Okay. So the wonderful thing about science is science says science evolves. Okay. So that evolution is what science is all about. Right. Omnipresent means omnipresent is being aware. So you should go to higher dimensions to be aware of everything. That is omnipresent. Okay, if you go to 6 dimension, 7 dimension, you may be omnipresent. So that is it. Okay, thank you so much, teachers. Okay, great. So now you can get the recording of session. I think the session is getting recorded. Okay, so you will get the recording of the session also. If you can put it to children, you can put it to children also. I think people are recording it. You can get in touch with your executives that come from Ratnasagar, and yeah, you can just always discuss that and have a look at it. Energy and matter, only energy and matter for your questions. Okay, great, wonderful. So okay, great, wonderful. So what we will do is now, teachers, I'll keep asking your questions, but before that, I am going to stop sharing for a second. And now what we are going to do is this, teachers, for this, what we are going to do, you are going to fill a feedback form. Okay. Sahil, are we online? Sahil? Just teachers, please be online.
Yeah, Dhanush, I'm here.
Sahil, I'm going to share that code, the QR code link. Okay. And just please be on the line once again. A small thing for you. Okay. Just please be on the line. Sahil, can you just share the link also in that box, the chat box? Okay, you are sharing it. Okay, okay. Teachers, you will see a QR code here on the screen. Okay, the link also will be sent to you. You can click and you can do the feedback form. You can send it. Okay. One second. Sahil, you want me to share it?
Yes, please. Yes, please.
Okay. Okay, I've shared a QR code now. Okay. Sahil, you can just share the link alone, Sahil. That would be fine. So this
Yes,
QR
sure.
code, if you have a QR code, just scan it and you can give your feedback about the session. The link will be sent. The link will be sent now in your chat box. Okay. Okay. We will continue this question. A question asked by a sir or ma'am. My question is about parallel universe. Exactly. So see, ma'am, like again, parallel universe for your answer. See, parallel universe is, again, string theory should come true. Okay. So if string theory is true, and if they are proving string theory, always if string theory is true and if string theory comes into existence, we can always explain parallel universes very easily. But as of now, as string theory is theoretical, parallel universe is also theoretical. Okay, great. So if string theory comes into existence and if string theory is proven, obviously parallel universes will also be proven. Okay, so that's your answer. Okay, so I think the link is there in the chat box. Okay, feedback link. Okay, so now if you're not able to use the QR code, you can use the link, and by clicking on the link, you can give your feedback of the session. The link will be sent again. The link will be keep on sending again. Thank you, teachers. Thank you. Just click on the link. I will also send the link now. Thank you, teachers. Thank you so much. Thank you. And people who are all watching in the Facebook Live, thank you so much for your viewing the entire session. Okay, thank you so much for that. So hopefully we all do an interactive session as we did with these teachers again. So if you want such sessions for you, you can always talk to our executives from the company Ratnasagar. So we're always there to serve you. We're always there to help you out in many things. Okay, so again, the link is given here. Please try to fill the feedback form. Great. So teachers, as we fill the feedback form again, we'll have a closing session. Sahil will wind up. Yeah, done feedback form. Great, wonderful. Thank you, teachers. Thank you so much. I sent the link once again, my dear teachers. Thank you, teachers. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you. Stay safe. Stay at home. All the very best. So, Sahil, shall we wind up?
Yes. Yes, Dhanush.
Okay. Okay, teachers. All the very best. And always look up to the stars and tell your children about the beauty of universe, the beauty of science, and have a blessed life, have a wonderful life, and please do take care of yourself, take care of your family, take care of your children, and please keep the curiosity always on with the children, my dear teachers. That is very important, because they are our future. We don't know, because see, being teachers, there is a beauty about the profession teaching itself. There is another cosmic perspective within the teaching field itself, my dear teachers. The thing is, if you become an engineer, you're the only engineer. If you become a doctor, you're the only doctor. If you become a lawyer, you're the only lawyer. But if you become a teacher, you create thousands of doctors, lawyers, engineers, astronauts, and you create every profession. So teaching profession, everything starts with teaching profession. Yes. So the children who are studying with us will be always curious, always tap that curiosity, bring them up, and let's have a wonderful, fulfilled civilization into the future. Yes, teachers. Great. Thank you so much. And I'm sending the form once again. Please fill your feedback forms and take care. Yes, teachers. And if you're not having the feedback form with you, you may talk to our executives. They may share the feedback form link in the WhatsApp also. So through that also you can give your feedbacks. Yes, teachers. Great. So thank you so much. Please do take care. All the very best. So Suresh ji, Rana ji, do you want to speak something? Give a closure to the session?
Good evening, teachers. My name is MV Rana and I'm responsible for sales operation for Delhi and Haryana. And thank you so much for giving a prestigious time. You know, this is the third session which we are doing with Dhanush. We had it two before for classes 1 to 5. This was for 6, 7 and 8. So very much thanks to all of you for being a part of it. It was altogether a good participation. You know, we exceeded 500. There were quite a few who were there in Facebook also seeing this entire program live. So thank you so much once again for your participation, for your active participations, and hopefully everything is good at your home. Stay safe and hope to see you soon in your school. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you, Rana ji. Suresh ji.
Very good evening, all of you. I hope they are able to view me. It is first of all, let me thank you each one of you for joining us, and this has been a fantastic day with a beautiful amount of turn up of teachers. There have been more than 500 logins, and thanks for the feedback that you have given us. And also at the same time, I would like to wish all of you a very safe life ahead, and please do continue to give your supports in the form of your prescriptions and other supports that you always extend to us. And be safe and have a great life ahead. Thank you. Thanks a lot.
Thank you. Thank you, Rana ji. Thank you, Suresh ji. Thank you, Sahil, for organizing all these things. Without you, nothing would be possible. Thank you so much. And
Especially,
thank
I
you,
would like to
teachers.
thank the executives and all the sales team as such. The effort
Exactly.
all is given by them, and of course the Ushma and even backend people who are marketing people and everyone who is behind this. They doesn't turn up their face in the webinars, but everyone's contribution makes it a successful one. I would like to thank those elite peoples, fantastic peoples who make things happen. Thank you.
Exactly, Suresh ji. Thank you so much. And thank you, teachers. All the very best. See you soon. Take care. Bye.